If you've ever been part of a volunteer-led community, like an HOA or a local club, you know the feeling. On one hand, it can be amazing, but on the other, it can be just so frustrating. So today we're going to dig into a proposal designed to break that cycle of frustration and really transform how these groups work.
Wow, just let that sink in. We have committees in name only, which never meet. I mean, that just hits home for so many people, doesn't it? You've got the structure, you've got the titles on paper, but in reality, nothing is moving. This quote just perfectly captures why a change is so desperately needed.
All right, so let's break this down. Before we can even talk about a solution, we have to get real about the problem. We need to understand the symptoms of what we'll call the volunteer gridlock, that place where all those good intentions and great ideas just get stuck. Does any of this sound familiar to you? You know the scene, board meetings where hours are just wasted and the big important goals get shoved aside to argue about something minor? Board members who are supposed to be leaders end up doing all the little tasks themselves, which makes everyone else feel micromanaged. And pretty soon, you've got this toxic cycle of complaints and burnout. And maybe the worst part, all the talented, capable people in the community just check out. They don't even bother getting involved. And really, that's the heart of the issue, isn't it? This isn't just about having bad meetings. It's about a massive missed opportunity. Just think about it for a second. Every single community is packed with people who have incredible skills in finance, in marketing, project management, you name it. But when the system is broken, all of that talent, all that potential, it just sits there, completely untapped. So what's the fix? Well, the solution starts with a pretty fundamental shift in how you think about leadership. It's about moving beyond just delegating tasks and really embracing a concept that is way, way more powerful: true empowerment.
So what does empowerment actually mean in this context? I mean, it's a word we hear a lot, right? But it's not just telling someone, hey, go do this. It's about giving them the actual authority to make decisions, the resources they need to get the job done, and the freedom, the autonomy to truly own their work from start to finish.
Here's the difference in a nutshell. Delegation, the old way, it's transactional. It's just assigning a task. But empowerment, that's totally different. It's transformational. It's about building a culture where people are trusted, where they're equipped to lead in their own area, and they feel a real sense of ownership.
Okay, theory is great, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's get our hands dirty and dive into the practical blueprint for action. This is where we start building the new structure with focused, empowered committees. So, first up, you create teams that are all about the community itself. The physical place and the people living in it. You'd have an architectural control committee to keep standards high, a homeowner engagement team to build that community spirit with events and communications, a security team, and an environmental team to look after the shared spaces. See? Each one has a very clear, very distinct job. And then you have the teams that keep the whole machine running behind the scenes. This is kind of the engine room of the organization. A finance committee to handle all the money stuff, the budget, the dues, all of that, and an administrative committee to manage the essential governance, like meeting minutes, records, and elections. These are the pillars that hold everything else up. Now, just having the right teams isn't quite enough. You also need new rules of engagement so they can work together effectively. This is all about creating total clarity, defining who does what, and making sure everyone stays in their lane to get the most done. And this is where it all just clicks into place. Look at the two columns. The board's job is now purely strategic, big picture stuff. They set the priorities, they approve policies, but, and this is the key, they don't do the day-to-day work anymore. That's the job of the committees. They become the experts, they do the research, they gather the facts, and they come to the board with clear, well-thought-out recommendations to vote on. Okay, so how does the board keep from getting sucked back into the weeds? Well, the framework introduces this awesome, super simple tool called the Eisenhower Matrix. It's basically just a way to sort every new idea or project based on whether it's urgent and whether it's important. It forces a really critical conversation about what truly matters right now and what's just noise. And using it is really straightforward. When a new idea comes up, you don't talk about it at the start of the meeting, you save it for the end. Then, the board votes on where it fits in that matrix. The stuff that's truly urgent and important, that gets a leader assigned to it and it becomes a real project. Everything else, it goes into what's called a not now parking lot. So it's not forgotten, but it doesn't distract from the main priorities. So, you put all these changes into place. What's the payoff? Well, you finally move your organization out of that constant state of frustration and gridlock and into a new, highly functional and predictable rhythm.
And this new rhythm is so clear and efficient. The committees meet on their own, and they do the real work, the research, the planning. Then, their chairs bring these well-researched reports and recommendations to the monthly board meeting. This means board meetings are no longer these chaotic, free-for-all problem-solving sessions. Instead, they become focused, decision-making meetings based on solid information, and the whole process is transparent and open.
When you boil it all down, this entire framework is designed to drive one massive transformation. It elevates the board from being the doers of every little thing to being the directors of a focused strategy. And when you do that, you finally unlock all that talent in your community, empowering people to contribute in a meaningful way. And that brings us to the final question, one for you to think about. Whether it's your HOA, a local charity, or any group you're a part of, think about your own organization. With a system that's built for micromanagement and gridlock, what incredible skills, what passion, what amazing talent is your community leaving on the table?